Hi, and welcome to this video. This video is a guide and a review of the SEIKO NH35 and SEIKO NH36 movement. The SEIKO NH35 and 36 are essentially the same movement. The only difference is that the 35 has a single date disc for the day of the month, and the 36 has a disc for the day of the week and the day of the month. The movements are also known as 4R35 and 4R36, most of the time when SEIKO uses them in their own watches. Other than the different date and day indications, the movements are technically the same exact movement. The NH35 and 36 are some kind of the successor to the SEIKO's 7S26 family that was used beforehand, for example, in the SEIKO 5 and the SEIKO SKX line. The appearance of the movement is pretty slim actually. It's pretty thin for an automatic movement, and it's also not very wide. The movement itself is 27 millimeters, and the movement with the case ring, that is the little gray plastic ring around the movement, is 29 millimeters. So it's not even 3 centimeters in width. The height is 5.3 millimeters, which is pretty impressive for a day-and-date automatic movement. The movement is not extremely small, but it's very importantly not too big either, which makes it very usable for different sizes of watches. And we already kind of know that from the 7S26 series, where the watch would work both in a 36 millimeter SEIKO 5 and in a 40 to 42 millimeter SKX series watch. Let's go to the accuracy. In the official spec sheet from TMI, which is the subsidiary company of SEIKO who builds the actual movement, the specs are -20 to +40 seconds a day. This is the accuracy range that is acceptable when TMI gives these movements to the watch building companies who then assemble complete watches out of it. The 5 or 6 movements that I had on my table, right from the manufacturer, have way better specs. Like basically every movement is within 10 or 12 seconds. So the movements are actually pretty accurate, and if you put additional work into the accuracy and regulate the movements, I would look at about 5 to 6 seconds a day. The movement itself, in the way it is built and the way the interface is designed when you interact with your watch, is pretty foolproof in my opinion. I've not seen problems where you kind of like get hung up on the day of date function if you use it improperly. That seems to be very well designed. What we also can say, and I will show you that in a second, is that this movement is designed for reliability. We already kind of know that from SEIKO, and a lot of movements are known for their long-time reliability, sometimes working 10 years plus without the service. And this movement is further improved to movements that we already know, for example the 7S26. This movement has an additional jeweled main barrel, which is here right at the number 7 on the date disc. The rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour is not a lot, but it helps the movement in 2 ways. First of all, a relatively low amplitude like this helps to extend the service intervals for the movement by reducing wear on the movement, essentially, and it also helps you to achieve a relatively high power reserve of 40 plus hours without having an extra barrel or some very fancy components in the movement who otherwise would help to achieve that. Another improvement to the movements that we've seen before from SEIKO in that price category, especially to the 7S26, is that the movement is now hand winding, which gives you the ability to pick the movement up or the watch up whenever you want, put a couple of winds in it, and it will start. You don't have the problem that you have to shake the watch until it has built enough energy to actually start running. In my personal opinion, that is, in terms of handling, that is a very big improvement. The second thing is that it also is now hacking, that it has a hacking second. So when you pull the crown to set the time, the second hand actually stops, which also gives it the opportunity to be set precisely to a corresponding time. In my opinion, this movement is a very clear improvement over the previous 7S26, and it's a lot more enjoyable for people who want to go into mechanical movements, and it's a lot more practical than the movements that we have seen before. And it doesn't seem to me that they've tried to cut any corners. In my opinion, the opposite is probably the case. I think the movement is even better than the 7S26 and the movements that were there before. The fact that we have a fully jeweled movement, a partially redesigned automatic winding part of the watch, and still a very good accuracy for that price range of a movement. So, my final thoughts about this. It is a movement that clearly continues the tradition of SEIKO automatic movements, who are inexpensive, relatively easy to service, but will last almost forever. And for me, this is the biggest strength of this movement, combined with the improved usability, mainly by the hacking second and the hand winding. And frankly, if you're looking to get into watches at an affordable price point, my clear recommendation is to look for watches with this movement, because I don't think that you will get another movement with this package of options: a day-at-date functions, 40 plus hours of power reserve, hand winding, hacking, and a movement that is from a reliable and known source as SEIKO. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you now have a pretty good overview on what this movement is and what this movement can do. And as I said, I only can encourage you that if you are looking for a mechanical watch at an affordable price point, maybe something like a daily beater, or your everyday watch, or you just want to get into watches, I can clearly recommend this movement. Even if with some brands sometimes you're unlucky in terms of accuracy, you can always have somebody work on the movement. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here and you want to see more videos, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.